Howdy, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Jenna Crabtree. I am on the NSS webinar committee, and I'm super excited to be back with y'all in March. I know I recognize some of your names and your faces from our January webinar. Just a reminder that this is being recorded, and it will be on the NSS YouTube. So EC Mo. She's got a ton of really interesting stuff, so I'm sure you're gonna need to rewatch this. So you can find it there. If you're concerned about missing upcoming webinars, just make sure you're tuning in to those NSS Digest emails and checking the events page for upcoming items, and you'll find us there. We will be back in May. Talking about the Cavoy X1, Disto X's, and bricks with Saiwei Tian. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, if you can please all remain muted until the end, and EC will let us know when it's time for questions. And of course, you can utilize the chat at any time if you really need to say something. But without a further ado, I will hand it over.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anna. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this NSS webinar on the Vertical Training Commission, or the VTC, as I will refer to it today. My name is EC Mo. I'm the Western Region Coordinator for VTC, and today I'm going to share what we've been up to, where we're going, and what VTC has to offer to the caving community. VTC is still a fairly new commission, and our goal is to build an effective vertical training program for cavers in the US. We're still in development for sure, but right now is a really exciting time to be part of VTC with so much momentum building. VTC was chartered in 2021, and I joined the commission within that first year, again, as the Western Region Coordinator, which is part of the board for VTC. I'm personally based in Los Angeles, so I'm a member of the Southern California Grotto and was really lucky to have access to this incredible mentorship opportunity with this group to learn techniques for vertical caving. It allowed me to feel safe and prepared and really just excited for the experience once I brought those skills into a vertical cave. And that also allowed me to just fully enjoy the whole experience. And that immediately motivated me to offer myself as a mentor to new cavers so that they could have that experience as well. So when the NSS chartered the Vertical Training Commission, to bring that opportunity to cavers across the United States, I knew that it was something that I really wanted to be a part of. So the idea for VTC really came from the caving community. A survey of NSS members revealed concerns about the lack of consistency in vertical techniques and safety among cavers in the US. And some of you may already be familiar with American Caving Accidents, which provides caving incident reports. Issues are available on the NSS website for anyone who would like to understand and learn from these past incidents. So we're going to put a link in the chat right now so you can search those historical documents as well. But around the time that this initial survey was conducted, the 2019 to 2020 American Caving Accidents Report came out with 16 reported vertical caving accidents, 10 of which were related to vertical caving or vertical training. And unfortunately, that report also included 2 fatalities, both of which were related to vertical training. So there was a clear need for standardized training and also a desire from the caving community to have that training standardized. And, that is precisely what VTC offers. I want to share a few quotes briefly from our charter that really capture what VTC does, which is to create a training curriculum to help interested individuals obtain the appropriate and sufficient competencies, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills needed to be safe while using vertical caving techniques. So, we offer quality criteria and curricula with student materials and trainer materials, all of which have been created, vetted, and then approved by VTC. Another charge from our charter is to train competent, safe, and active vertical training trainers to be proficient in teaching VTC educational materials. So again, we offer these qualified trainers who have been trained and approved by VTC. And beyond that, we offer support to those trainers long-term to set them up for success with access to gear, risk management resources, including liability insurance, and access to the whole network of VTC volunteers and the community that is created there. And honestly, my personal favorite sort of guiding principle of VTC is that the best teachers are always learning from their students, which is why we're actively soliciting feedback and input from course participants and from the broader caving community to help keep the high quality materials that we create also as up to date as possible. But to be, very clear though, VTC is entirely voluntary. It just offers a new tool to support NSS grottos because grotto-focused vertical training, first of all, minimizes costs, but it is also just a more accessible way for cavers to learn and offers an opportunity to build community at the same time. So our goal is to improve vertical safety for cavers while resisting efforts to develop vertical training certifications as a mechanism to limit or restrict caver access. And in fact, we're actively working to address potential access restrictions as we've seen them come up. So the approach that we use here is called the train the trainer model. And this is another idea that came directly from the caving community through that initial survey. And we'll put the next visual up. This approach really, it starts with the board and the curriculum committee up top. I want to make sure I'm showing the right slide here. So yeah, we start with the board and the curriculum committee that is, developing the program and creating the curriculum. But honestly, the success of the program is really all about having qualified trainers at the grotto level. And these trainers are going to be teaching vertical training directly to their community. And between those two levels, we also have master trainers to train the trainers, and then the trainers can then train the students. So train the trainers down the line. And right now, we are really focused on building out level 1 training opportunities across the US. Level 1 focuses on basic vertical techniques, and we really dive deep into this. Level 1 is understandable and accessible enough for folks who have never even touched rope before. And it also provides a level of detail and skill building that will benefit all experience levels. So, whether you've maybe been a little bit out of practice, you're prepping for an upcoming trip, or you feel solid on the ups and the downs, but maybe a little bit shaky on the mid-rope obstacles, folks will leave level 1 understanding the use, care, and inspection of ropes and other vertical equipment, how to rappel and ascend a rigged rope with expected obstacles, and how to deal with the unexpected obstacles or problems that might come up while you're on rope. So once we have a solid level 1 program in place, we will begin to develop level 2 to cover rigging and intermediate techniques. And finally, we do still plan to build out advanced courses on special topics like lead climbing in caves, expedition rigging, vertical survey, things like that. But all of that will have to come later. We met some major milestones in 2024, and a huge one came in May of last year with the publication of the Level 1 student handbook called Basic Vertical Techniques. This book was developed by VTC's curriculum committee, but with input from 37 expert contributors. It incorporated feedback from the National Cave Rescue Commission, the NSS Vertical Section, VTC's advisory board, but also feedback directly from participants who were part of multiple pilot training events. So we really learned on the spot and improved things along the way. So a lot really went into this book. And the first 500 copies that we printed sold out in just 4 months. We're actually getting ready now to do a third printing. So it's definitely in pretty high demand. In that, you can purchase a copy at the NSS online store. We're going to drop a link into the chat to take you directly to that as well if you'd like to purchase a copy. We just started making spiral bound versions as well, which some people are preferring, which is nice. But as I mentioned earlier, we are actively soliciting feedback on this program. So we invite the NSS community to share any comments or suggestions that you have on this book or on the program in general. And we're going to drop another link in the chat to take you to a survey so that if you have read the book and you have feedback for us, you can put it directly in there and we'll take all of that to improve things moving forward. Other huge wins for this year include securing liability insurance, which was just a huge lift by the folks involved, but also approving an initial group of 21 VTC approved trainers and rolling out the first official VTC Level 1 course, which happened in the fall of 2024, just about 6 months ago. And I want to share a little bit about how those courses have been going. So the curriculum that was built is broken down into 15 modules. And these can be covered like over a long weekend, over 3 or 4 days, or it can be spread out over time, just taking one module at a time. It depends on how the grotto would like to approach the course. But we always start with setting the stage to understand rigging and personal safety before getting on rope. And so in the first 3 modules, we learn to identify types of rope and types of webbing, as well as identifying rope damage. Now, the book offers really clear instructions, but that hands-on experience is really important. So the instructor offers pieces of rope so that students can actually feel damage in rope for themselves and know what it looks like, know what it feels like, as well as pieces of rope that you can like take apart to understand how different types of rope are built. And we also, at this point, make sure that everyone knows the important knots so that you know how to tie and how to inspect knots before you trust your life to an anchor. We then learn about all the necessary equipment for different systems, and that goes along with an on-site gear check to make sure that everyone has all of the gear that they need to begin with, but also that it is of safe and good condition. We want high quality material from reputable vendors, and we want to make sure that it isn't too worn to be used in this setting. And depending on the expertise of the instructor available, we can cover Frog, Texas, Mitchell, and Rope Walker through VTC. So there's a lot of additional opportunities to learn. If you know one system, you can come back and learn another. So then we do offer standardized rigging protocols so that we know the rigging that we're using is safe and approved. And we go through safety measures as a group. And this covers communication, of course, but also chain of safety. So starting with inspecting the anchors, inspecting the connectors, then we all know our knots. So inspecting those knots and the rope path to your connection. And finally, buddy checks for your own personal vertical system. And so far we've gone through modules, 1 through 7, and it's a lot to cover before even getting on rope. But these measures ensure a safe and impactful training experience. And they do still involve a lot of hands-on experience, which keeps the students engaged at every step of the way. And then we get on rope. So starting with going up and down, the book provides diagrams and explanations about safety and efficiency in these movements. And then during the course, that's when students get to test this knowledge out, and they get to do it in a very controlled and safe environment, which is another thing that VTC offers. We are doing things that have some inherent risk in them, but by introducing them slowly in a controlled environment, we do add extra levels of safety. And then once we've had a chance to use the equipment a little bit, we then discuss care of that equipment. And again, the book offers a lot of clear pictures and diagrams. The one here shows if you have, safe looking rope, you have the happy caver with the green helmet, and where there's clear damage in the rope, the instruction is to dispose of that rope. So clear instructions in the book that can be understood very easily. But again, it's really important to have that hands-on material. So the instructor can provide examples of like new marked material that they are using versus maybe worn materials that they've used for 20 years and really have been worn down and are ready to retire. And that adds that critical hands-on piece even for just talking about care of equipment. So the book offers these really clear step-by-step instructions for even more advanced skills like changeovers. And students, again, are allowed to test that knowledge hands-on, and again, in a safe and controlled environment. But another important aspect of VTC is that, we provide both the information and the hands-on experience, and we also build critical thinking and problem solving skills. So one way that we do that is through case studies. And one of the case studies in Module 12 is from Valhalla Cave. And this case study is included in the book, so students can read it ahead of time. And then the course allows for group discussion to identify, what we can learn here and how we can adjust our actions moving forward to avoid this issue in the future. So I'd like to try this with all of you tonight. So I'll read through this case study and any thoughts that come up for you, what went wrong, what went right, what could be done differently next time, please put them in the chat. And Jenna and Jake are going to help read that out. We can have a little bit of a discussion just as we would in a VTC course. So our case study from Valhalla Cave. A caver left their ascending equipment in their pack as they rappelled. During the rappel, they were stung by a wasp, which they thought they were allergic to. Their medicine was in a pack at the top of the pit, but without their ascending gear, they could not do a changeover and go get it. Someone had to bring their medicine in a hurry. So any, thoughts that come up for you as you're hearing this story, go ahead and put it in the chat. And Jenna, if anything pops up, just come off mute and share it. I don't have the chat open in front of me, so I can't read it all right now.
Perfect. I'll let you know when they start coming through.
Excellent. And some things to think about, even if you have a really easy pit, I mean, you never know what might happen, right? And just like in this scenario, you might have unexpected hazards that pop up, like a sting from a wasp, or there might be other insects involved too. And, we want to be able to maneuver when these things come up. You can also think about, what are the costs versus benefit of always wearing your vertical gear?
All
Folks
right.
maybe.
My
processing and thinking. Oh, we got something, Jenna?
Yes, my friend Alberto, he said, I don't think it's a good idea to have your ascending gear in the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then David Kelly, he said, how would you expect to know if one of the group has allergies? And then C. Cantello says, always good to have a tested method of communication from top of pit to bottom of pit.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely, having your gear with you. If you think about cost versus benefit, there might be very specific scenarios, like if you're going through a tight squeeze where less gear might be helpful. But for the most part, having all of your gear with you just means that you can adjust when things like this pop up. And I love the note about like knowing whether or not other members of your group have issues like this. And, outside of even vertical techniques, there's good practices of having these conversations ahead of time and making sure that you like set protocols about communication. So there's a lot that can kind of be done. Luckily, in this scenario, things worked out okay. They were able to get the individual the medication, and the allergic reaction was not as bad as expected. So in this particular case, it did work out. But there's also other considerations. This individual didn't have their ascending gear, but even if they did have their ascending gear, if they weren't super comfortable doing a changeover yet, then, it leaves them in the same scenario here where they have to complete their rappel and wait for somebody to come behind them. Jenna, were there any other thoughts in the chat before we move on?
Yeah, we just had one more come in from Jeff. He said, I've been told to always wear your ascending gear, even if you only intend to rappel. Jokingly said, what if there's lava at the bottom?
Yes, or cave sharks. I've been warned about those before too. Yeah, that's another thought. I mean, even if it's a relatively short drop, but maybe you haven't visited before and you accidentally short rope yourself, that's another scenario where you'll need to do that changeover, even if you don't necessarily intend to. So yeah, really great thoughts, and thank you all for jumping in and participating in that. It's really great when we have a whole group of students that maybe they're brand new to caving and aren't familiar with these situations, but being able to work through them as a group and talk through them is a great way to kind of start getting them in the mindset of critically thinking every time they're going into a cave situation to know how they're going to react if something does go wrong. So after changeovers, we then cover mid-rope obstacles, including passing knots and rebelays and deviations. And again, we have the step-by-step instructions in the book coupled with the hands-on experience in a safe and controlled environment. But again, here we find other ways to build in lessons for critical thinking and problem solving. And here we do that by introducing some unexpected obstacles too. So, allowing students to work through it on their own by posing a question of like, what do you do if your glove gets stuck in your device? And rather than just walking them through exactly how they would handle that situation, here we might allow the student to just in their mind try to work it out step by step for themselves. How would I get myself out of this issue? And of course, instructors and other students are there to help kind of work through it all together. And the important thing is here, we're still in a very safe and controlled environment, but we're layering on additional obstacles and working our way through them together. And our final module covers edge safety. So once again, we have clear instruction in the book, put into practice in the field, like using a traverse line to safely approach an anchor, for example. Or learning to identify the hazard in the fall zone and how to traverse those areas safely. And as you can see in this picture, we also have an instructor line set up to allow one-on-one support for additional edge safety during this whole learning process. And then, we cave. We put all of this hard work into practice, getting into a cave, and having a whole lot of fun. In this whole learning process, putting the skills to use in a real life setting really cements everything for the students. But again, also by building it up and layering in each new step with measures of safety in place, we can safely approach the edge of a cave and get on rope and rappel into the cave, really just enjoying the view while you're having, a very controlled descent down into it. And then folks are given the opportunity to just spend time and enjoy the experience and see the world in a whole new way and have that in cave time that we are all here to do. And then, of course, safely exiting the cave with a smooth and efficient ascent. And when it's all done and you're out of the cave, you feel safe, you feel happy, you're excited to then go ahead and schedule your next caving trip. So, quick little sneak peek at what we're working on next. We do have trainer curriculum that will be finalized later this year. And then after that will be the master trainer material. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we will start in on the level 2 curriculum that will focus on advanced techniques and rigging, maybe as early as 2027 if all goes according to plan. And in the meantime, we are ramping up level 1. That's our main focus right now. We're hoping to host up to 20 level 1 student courses in the next year and up to 6 level 1 trainer courses, which is really exciting because each new trainer that is approved by VTC means more opportunities for student courses to happen across the US. And we're also, always looking for dedicated volunteers to support some of the really big goals that we've set for ourselves. That includes, building our outreach and our fundraising programs, and developing and maintaining our data management strategies and our risk management strategies. But we're also looking for ways to really maximize opportunities for caver training. And that includes, maybe doing them in coordination with existing regional and national caving events. Now, of course, a program like this does cost some money to build and maintain. Our funding needs right now include startup costs to purchase student loaner gear, to build regional gear caches, especially for the trainers who have all of these extra gear pieces that they need to set up for the students. To pay for insurance is a big one. And we're also building the Bill Cudington Memorial Scholarship Fund. And this is to ensure that financial limitations aren't the reason that a caver is not able to access high quality vertical training. We don't want that to be a barrier. Plus, there's always just general funding needs to run a course like this. And right now, our main sources of funding are start with the NSS. They've provided, partial initial operating support, and we could not have gotten off the ground without this support. But it's also not, a long-term funding option. But we have some growing sources of income that we're working to build, which includes book sales with the Basic Vertical Techniques Student Handbook, individual fundraising from donors, as well as student fees. Although right now the student fees mostly just cover administrative costs and a portion of the insurance cost. And there are so many ways that folks can get involved with VTC. You can sign up for a course that's happening near you. And if there is not one scheduled near you, you can reach out to your regional coordinator to set one up for your grotto. You can also apply to become a trainer, and then you can lead a course for your grotto. But outside of taking a course, we have lots of other opportunities to engage as a volunteer, and you can apply to any open positions through the website. We're always accepting applicants for trainers and master trainers. That's kind of a rolling basis. But when board positions are open, those will also be posted on the website. And we do have some term limits that are coming up this year. So we are accepting applications for the Rocky Mountain Regional Coordinator, the Southeastern Region Coordinator, a curriculum committee member, and also for our webmaster, who does absolutely amazing work. And pretty much everything that you'll need for VTC is available on our website at vtc.caves.org. My friends are going to help put this link in the chat as well. You will find things like frequently asked questions, instructional videos. We have the board meeting minutes. We'll have event announcements just on that main page where it says upcoming events. That's where courses will be posted when they are open for registration. You'll also see, announcements for open positions and things like that. But one of the best things that you can do with the website right now is join the VTC email list. You can do that through the website. And by joining the email list, you'll learn about course opportunities and get connected directly with your regional coordinator. So the easiest way to get on the email list is once you go to the web page, you click on the contact link up at the top right. You can fill that out, and I will be reaching out to you, and we can go from there, start a conversation, chat, and answer any questions that you have. If you already have an idea of how you want to engage with VTC, you can fill out the Get Involved form, which is a little bit longer, but you can fill out the info, you can click the boxes of the things that you're interested in, and filling out this form will also get you on the email list. And if you fill out either of those forms, I will be contacting you directly and connecting you with your regional coordinator, and you can ask us, any questions that you have. You can talk to your regional coordinator about setting up a training. It all kind of goes from there. Now, we do, of course, welcome financial contributions to help build, the regional gear cache or purchase vertical equipment that can be rented to students, or establish that scholarship fund. So if you'd like to support VTC, you can go to our main webpage and click on the Donate tab on the far right, which takes you to our donation page where you can select a donation amount or type in your own. It's very flexible. But for those who do donate, with a premium donation of $100 and more, you can request a VTC logo shirt with performance material. I have one myself. I love it. And for $1,000, you can get a limited edition VTC hat. There's only 2 left, and we're not making more. So it'll be first come, first serve on those. But we do also accept donations of new and gently used equipment. It's generally, for the gently used equipment, that's generally limited to hardware, and we do have very strict inspection requirements to ensure safety. But if you're at all curious about that option of providing a donation in the form of gently used equipment, please, fill out that contact form from the website, and we can chat more about it. Before we wrap things up here, I do have a number of acknowledgements to make. There's so many people that have contributed to the success of VTC, but just to highlight a few, we have leaders from the NSS, including the Board of Governors. We have donors, both financial donors and those who have donated gear. The folks who have served on VTC board, on the curriculum committee, on advisory board, and of course, again, our incredible webmaster that built and maintains that website that has all of that incredible information on it. Big thank you also to the participants in the level one student and trainer pilot courses. We've had multiple pilot courses over the last few years. And as I mentioned, all of the feedback from those courses really made basic vertical techniques the incredible resource that it is. Being able to go through all of these different practices in person and see what worked and see what didn't work. And then again, getting that direct feedback from students of like, this didn't really work for me. Can we do it a different way? Allowed us to create a resource that is good not just for the trainers, but good for students, whether they're first time, never touched a rope, or if they're experienced cavers that just kind of want to refresh on their skills. We were able to create a resource that works for everybody because of those pilot courses and the folks that participated in them. And also a thank you to the folks running the NSS webinar series. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and chat about this program and all of the support that was provided to get ready for and run this webinar today. So before we get on to questions, I do just kind of want to wrap things up a little bit. VTC is all about teaching techniques, but also strengthening the caving community as a whole. We want to ensure that future generations can explore caves safely. And we'd really love for you to join in on creating a future where every vertical caver has the skills and knowledge and support to explore with confidence and to do so safely. So if you're at all interested in engaging with VTC, but you don't know exactly where to start, my email is on this slide, and you can reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to talk through things, answer questions, direct you to the right folks on the VTC board to get next steps going. And the officers, the national officers, contact information is also here. Ron Miller is our national coordinator. Jenny Tyson is our secretary and treasurer. And Hazel Burton is our education coordinator. So you can reach out to them as well. But in the meantime, I'm happy to take any questions from the group today, if there are any.
If you have any questions, you can go ahead and unmute yourself to ask them or put them in the chat.
I have a question. Do you ever teach them how to prusik?
Yes, we do pre-6.
Thank you.
Yes, Alberto.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I'm extremely happy about this program in here. I'm the chair of the Greater Houston Grotto. Even if I have this strong Texas accent, I'm actually Italian. And so one of the main things that I noticed the first time I moved here 10 years ago was the lack of a program like that. I'm caving since 1998. I would be more than happy to share our experience in this kind of structure and let's say of program with over 30 years of experience on something similar to this one. And I think that's absolutely the right way to go.
Excellent. Thank you, Alberto. That's a great offer as well. I hope you use that contact form and reach out so we can get you connected to the right folks to share that expertise that you have.
In the discussions so far about training and things, you've kind of put the rigging part of the training till later. Has there been much discussion about where to apply training about rigging?
Yes, so as part of the trainer curriculum that should be finalized later this year, there is quite a bit in there for rigging for level one. So kind of the basic rigging, understanding, the hazard zone and the fall zone, all of that is both taught and assessed for the trainers before they're able to do that level one. It's not included as part of what is taught to students just yet. So that is where it'll come in for level two, as an opportunity for students to learn that rigging piece.
How does the VTC interact with the uh, NSS vertical committee, or vertical section?
Good question. Yeah. So the NSS vertical section, first of all, was a great contributor to our book. They provided a lot of good feedback that was incorporated into the draft before it was finalized and published. So they're definitely, involved on that level. We do also have on our board a liaison to the vertical section, particularly around events like National Convention, where we have folks maybe being introduced to vertical for the first time or wanting to, participate in the activities. And we are coordinating our efforts around that, so that, we can work together on where we have vertical opportunities and where there are training opportunities. So our liaison helps to facilitate those conversations.
Thank you.
You mentioned early in the presentation about liability insurance.
Mhm.
How do you expect that to work as you work through the training matrix?
Can you clarify your question?
One, how does a company decide they're going to give you liability insurance? Under what criteria? And where do you expect that to be applied in the training of the trainers?
Gotcha. So we have presented our full, not just the training curricula, but the full training program and criteria and all of the protocols that we have set under VTC. And there is a company that has taken us on and will provide liability insurance for any official VTC event. And that will, be applied to any event that comes up, whether that's a student course or a trainer course. So that also does cover the training for the trainers. And the one caveat is that there are certain areas of the US that the insurance company was not willing to cover immediately, including California, which is where I'm at. And our plan is to build up a record of safe training events occurring over the next few years and revisit that conversation at a later date when we have a good safety record to show.
All right, well, if that is all the questions we have, um, I'll kind of take it back over from EC. Um, there was a sweet note left in the chat, EC, if you wanted to read it yourself. Um, well, thank you all for joining us tonight to discuss the VTC and also share time together for another webinar. I look forward to seeing y'all in May. Just a reminder that this can be found on the NSS YouTube. And the next notifications will be coming out through the NSS emails, just like this one had. If you have any suggestions or ideas, or even maybe you want to do a webinar yourself, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we'd love to chat with you or hear what your thoughts are. But if that's it, then we'll go ahead and sign off. Awesome. So if everyone would just give a round of applause to EC for just knocking it out of the park tonight. Um, Yeah, and we'll go ahead and sign off. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Adios.
Great. Thank you all. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks, CC. Great job.
Thanks, Ron.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks all for joining.